Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Aurora's Committee of Adjustment meeting. I'll start by introducing the committee members and staff. I'm the committee chair. My name is Grace Marsh, and the remaining members of our committee tonight are Tom Plamondon, my vice chair. At the far end is David Mango and Roy Harrington. Hank Gosar is absent. With us for staff tonight is we have our Secretary-Treasurer, Antonio Greco, and our planner with us tonight is Matthew Peverini. For each application that will be considered tonight, the following process will occur. I'll briefly outline the purpose of the application. The applicant or agent will then be given the opportunity to make a presentation. However, it's not required. It's the applicant's decision whether they wish to speak or let the application proceed on the merits of the information as we've received it. Following any initial comments from the applicant, I, as the chair, will invite members of the public who have an interest in an application to come forward and address the committee. Those members of the public who wish to speak must clearly state their name and address, and you must sign a form that's at the front there called Request for Notice. It's up on the table for the public record. After completing the form, please provide it to the Secretary-Treasurer. Each individual may speak only once on an issue, and once discussion has commenced in respect of a motion amongst the committee, no further presentation shall be made. Please note that this public meeting is being audio and video recorded. Your name, address, comments, and any other personal information provided is being recorded according to the Municipal Act and the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. This will help our town clerk prepare accurate minutes and to create a record that is available to the general public. Questions about this collection should be directed to the town clerk. Please ensure that all questions or comments are directed through me as the chair. If relevant, I will request the appropriate person to respond. It should be noted that the applicant may be given the opportunity to respond to questions or comments that the committee feels relevant. The reports that are being considered tonight are all available on the desk in front of you as well. Should you wish to receive notification of any of the decisions and you have not completed the speaker form, please complete the form up there. Owners and agents do not have to do that. You will be automatically notified of your decision. So we'll get going with tonight's meeting. Are there any declarations of interest from members of the committee? Seeing none, thank you. Okay, yep, thank you very much, and that should have come first. We do have to have a motion tonight to confirm we have a new acting secretary-treasurer with us, Matthew Peverini, and we need to confirm that through a motion. So could I have a mover and seconder, please?
Madam Chair, I'll move that Matthew Peverini be confirmed as the appointed acting Secretary-Treasurer.
Thank you. Seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor? That carries. Welcome to the group. Okay, and now approval of our agenda tonight, please. Thank you. Second? All right. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Now, declarations of pecuniary interest.
No.
Thank you. All right. So we have minutes from last month's meeting, July the 12th, and I'll need a motion, and I will be abstaining from the vote as I was absent. Thank you. Seconder? Thank you. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. All right. Moving on to tonight's applications. The first application before us tonight is an application for consent, Mason, 69 Larmont Street. The purpose of the above-noted consent application is to sever the rear portion of the existing lot and conveying it to the adjacent landowner of 103 Mosley Street. No minor variances are required as a result of the proposed consent. Planning Division had no comments, but it is subject to conditions. Building Division had no comments were received. Engineering, no comments. Operational Services, no comments. Central York Fire Services, no comments received. Electra Utilities and York Region had no comments. Is the applicant or agent present?
Hello.
Yeah,
Hi.
just pull it close to you, please. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name's Greg Mason. That is my wife, Kathy, the other applicant.
Did you have anything you wanted to tell us, or? Okay, well, that's great. Thank you. So then I will ask if there's any members of the public who would like to speak on this application. Okay, madam, could you come forward? Mr. Mason, maybe you could have a seat. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Roxana Farrell. I'm at 63 Larmont. Just to start, to give you a bit of my background, I'm an architect and I practiced in New York City. So I have a couple of questions in terms of the severed portion. The first question is, with the severed portion, you said it actually, but it wasn't in the letter that I received, who becomes the owner of it. The proposed new owner should have been stated in the file submission letter. Question number 2, what use becomes of this land? Are there architectural drawings associated with this severed land? If so, then full disclosure of any preliminary architectural drawings or study drawings should be made available in their full extent, including any other lands that are part of it, should be made available to the public for viewing and should have been offered in writing as part of the file submission letter. Question number 3. Should this not have been a joint file submission for the owners who are severing the land and the proposed new owners who are getting the severed portion? Question number 4. Does the zoning for this severed portion remain as a single family home in the transferring from one owner to the next? And therefore, all the zoning, bylaws, and regulations adhere to this severed land. Question number 5. This portion of land is also under the stable neighborhood restrictions. Would the severed portion adhere to these restrictions? Question number 6. Is this severed portion, if the severed portion is changing in its zoning and changing its stable neighborhood status, would this portion not have to go through a notice of public hearing consent to change the status of the land? Question number 7. If these zoning and bylaw considerations are in any way have not been addressed or considered in this file submission for this application, then a delay and review should happen in order to address the impact the new owner plans to do. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just making note of the last one. Should have been reviewed. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, some of these are procedural. You could have a seat, ma'am. We'll take a minute and go through these. Some are procedural and some have got to do with neighbors and things. So I'm going to go to staff first and see which ones you'd like to answer for us. And then if there's any that you can't answer, then we'll go back to the applicant.
Okay. Through you, Ms. Chair. I guess right off the bat, some of the questions that will be answered in no particular order is that the severed portion is planned to be allocated to the property to the rear. So that's who it's planned to go to. It would not be a joint application. A joint would be the owner
You can
of...
address your responses to me.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. Yep.
Through you, Ms. Chair. The owner of the property would be the person making the application. It would not be a joint application.
Sorry, just for my clarity. So 69 Larmont is making the application
Yes.
to sever a piece off their property. If I'm understanding the question correctly, the owner of 103 Mosley will become the owner? Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. 103 Mosley is the property to the rear,
Okay.
and they are in seek of the rear portion of 69 Larmont. So this application is a straight severance in the purchase of the owners of 103 Mosley to purchase the severed portion of this property.
Okay, and I think the point is, I won't put words in the speaker's mouth, but we didn't really see anything in here that said 103 Mosley agreed or didn't agree, or that I think so in a process like this, would staff have confirmed, A, that 103 Mosley is accepting of the parcel? And I guess that's, did they have any objection to them getting this?
Through the chair, 103 Mosley, the developers have submitted a letter indicating that they will be acquiring the severed portion of the property. Of course, it's not final. However, I'm sure the registered owners at 69 Larmont Street would have more detail on the status of the purchase once it's severed.
Okay, and I think the letter that you're referring to is in the package. Somewhere? Right at the very back. That's why I'm flipping around. Okay. Okay, so that kind of takes care of who becomes the new owner. That was your question number one. Okay, now could you then speak to the zoning of the land that's being conveyed?
Through the chair, in terms of zoning, the applicant that submitted this consent application, Mr. and Mrs. Mason, they're just looking to sever the rear portion. The zoning wouldn't switch as of right now. That would be up to the person, the developer acquiring the rear of 69 Larmont Street. We haven't received anything in terms of site plans, any drawings on what they're proposing at the rear. However, this application is strictly in a lot addition to the property owners at the rear.
Okay, all right. So I think that kind of covers a number of the questions that were related to zoning. Stable neighborhood, would you speak to the stable neighborhood implications here if they exist?
Through you, Chair. It would have to go through, at minimum, the site plan process, as there has been the site plan control enacted through council. So it would be at minimum, depending on what is proposed down the road, it would have to go through site plan.
Okay, I think that covers most of the questions. Was there anything that we were unable to answer for you?
Well, you said 103 Mosley, and I believe 103 Mosley has no tenant or anything on it. It's a vacant lot. So is there a name associated with the person who owns 103 Mosley? And At what stage are the architectural drawings going to become available? They have not been submitted yet? Is that my understanding?
No, based on the letter, I would, on the very back of the package. So do you have the applicant package?
I just got it right now. Is
Okay,
it the
well,
one
at the very
here?
back, there is a letter from the owner
Oh,
of,
okay.
and of 103, and they indicate that they have an offer of purchase and sale, and as staff have said, anything that they intend to do on that little bit longer piece will go through all the appropriate processes.
Okay, so in time, those drawings and things like that, what their intentions will become available?
Absolutely, through the
Okay,
process, correct?
that's
And if
fine.
you leave your name and that with staff, I think they would be happy to keep you apprised of the progress.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks very much for your comments. Any other member of the public have comments on this? Okay, then I'll look to the committee for any comments or questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the applicant, I believe on the application, is there a structure on the part that is being severed that is affected by the application?
At the moment, there is a 8x8 wooden shed that straddles what will be the property line. As part of our agreement with the purchaser, they are going to move that entirely onto our retained land.
Okay. So it's just a single-story 8x8?
Yeah, it's just an 8x8 barn-style
Something
storage
easy to,
shed.
something easy to move?
Yeah, I'll just pick it up with the machine and move it over.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, if there's no further questions or comments then from the committee, I'll look for a motion.
Through the chair, I will move that application C 2018-4 be approved subject to the conditions that have been received.
There's one condition.
Yep.
Okay. Seconder for that, please.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. Our next application before us tonight is another application for consent, the Jesmar Group Limited, 190 Kennedy Street West. The purpose of application C-2018-05 is the purpose of the above noted consent application is to establish servicing easements to connect the existing services on 190 Kennedy Street West. Planning Division had no comments but subject to conditions. Building Division, no comments were received. Engineering Division had no comments subject to conditions. Operational Services had no comments subject to conditions. Central York Fire Services, no comments were received. No comments from Electra Utilities or York Region. And Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority had no comments, but it's also subject to conditions. Applicant or agent for this one?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Thomas Kilpatrick. I'm from Malone Gibbon Parsons. I'm a planner there. I'm representing Jesmar Group in regards to their property located at 190 Kennedy Street West. Does this work?
I'll get you to pull that microphone as close to you as possible. The sound in here really is not good. and we just need to be able to hear you clearly. Thank you.
Maybe if you can just, I can point to you. If you want to go to the next slide. So the application this evening is consent for easements. The consent is to grant Lot 1 a non-inclusive easement in perpetuity over parts 20, 23, which is Lot 2, and 24, which is Lot 3, to construct, install, maintain, replace, repair, use lateral connections to be connected to the town of Aurora water main and sanitary servicing, which is located on the property. The consent is also to grant Lot 2 an easement over parts 25 and 26, which is Lot 3, for the same reason as Lot 1. The consent application is also to grant the expansion of the existing municipal easement on the property over parts 20 and 25 for the general maintenance of municipal services on that property. So a little background, we were here last year on November 9, 2017. The Committee of Adjustment approved the consent to minor variance applications on the subject property. There were 2 consent applications, the first being consent to sever, which created 3 single detached residential lots. The second was a consent for access easement, which was access for pedestrian and vehicles via driveway. There was also minor variance applications, which was reduction of lot frontage, increase in maximum driveway width, and increase in maximum building height. So this is a site context map just to get the general idea. The property is north of Kennedy Street West. There is low-rise residential surrounding the property. There is medium-density residential to the north, and Aurora High School and Wellington Public School also to the north. So this is the conditionally approved residential development. As you can see, it's 3 residential lots, 3 single detached homes, accessed via a private driveway. So this is a little hard to see. It didn't come out that well. However, it's an easement and servicing diagram just to get a general idea of where these proposed easements are. So the red line is the subject boundary. The yellow lines are the conditionally approved lot boundaries. The existing municipal easement is illustrated in a light blue. The proposed water and sanitary servicing easement for Lot 1 is illustrated in a orange, and the proposed water and sanitary servicing easement for Lot 2 is proposed or shown in red there. So the consents for easements should be approved as the health, safety, convenience, and welfare of present and future inhabitants is maintained. It is consistent with the provincial planning policy. The proposal is not premature as development is conditionally approved. It conforms with the regional, local, and zoning bylaw. Allows for intensification of an underutilized lot. It has access through a shared driveway via Kennedy. The existing environmental features are accounted for and protected. Municipal water and sanitary servicing is available. Schools are approximately 500 meters, less than a 10-minute walk away. And also, the proposed development represents good planning. I'd just also like to add that my client is fine with the condition of final approval being granted subject to final approval related to consent application C 2017-08 and C 2017-09. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, just there's a number of conditions. Obviously, Parks, Recreation, and Culture have a number of conditions on here. The Engineering Division has a number of conditions, as do the Lake Simcoe Conservation Authority. Have you read all those and are understanding and in agreement with all of those conditions?
Through you, Madam Chair. All the conditions that were provided were conditions that were provided on the earlier applications. We've reviewed them. They are all the same. And actually, we are looking to clear those conditions probably by the end of the month. So yes, we are fine with those. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public that would like to address us on this application? Seeing none, thank you. Then I will look to the committee for comments or questions. David, I'll start at your end.
I'm waiting from. Okay, I have questions because the figures we have, they're not very clear. Of course, I can see where the easements are, but I want you to confirm the locations of those parts. Let's say lot 2, you say describe as parts 20 and 23. I want to know where they are. And also for lot 3, there's part 24. Just for confirmation.
Okay.
Similarly, for lot number 2, easements of lot 3, you've got parts 25 and 26.
Yeah. Does the map
they're not
in
clear
your...
here,
Sorry.
even
Yeah.
on the drawing which you showed us.
That's what I was... Maybe you could bring up the map from your presentation again. I think it did
Yeah, I think that, through you, Madam Chair, that would be useful, yes.
Yeah. Ah, there we go.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, it's a little hard to see. I might have a plan in here that might show it better, but essentially the easement for Lot 1 is indicated in the orange there.
Can you zoom? So
There you go. Now you can
Okay,
read the
there
part
you go.
numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, we couldn't see the part numbers.
No, okay,
okay.
so
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
20, 23, and 24
And
from lot
25.
1, from lot 2, 25, and 26. Okay,
All right.
I think that's it.
Okay.
No more questions.
That's all your questions. Thanks very much. Just turn your mic off there, please. Thank you. Roy? All right. Tom?
Maybe you can just pull that back up again. Sorry,
Of course.
I know you're flipping cameras and what have you around. Antonio, sorry about that. Just ask the applicant, can you show me where the existing services on Kennedy come up to the property line right now, or do they go further into the site than it shows? Like, were there any services provided for that property prior to us looking at the subdivision of 3 lots?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, so from the diagram, you can see that there is the dark blue is the water main, existing water main.
So
And
that goes all the way from
it goes
Kennedy,
goes all the way from
right through to the
Kennedy
north?
all the way to the north.
Okay.
And then if you want to zoom in a bit, again, thank you. You can see there, I think it's a darker green. It's the existing municipal sanitary,
Okay.
which actually goes from Kennedy Street north, and then it actually traverses east-west at the back of the property.
And storm is,
Through you, Madam Chair, there is no storm.
there is none.
No.
And I guess it doesn't show on this particular sketch plan how far north they go and where they go.
Through you, Madam Chair, no, it does not.
Okay. All right, that's terrific. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that's great. All right. Any further questions or comments? Then I will look for a motion. Can we give David a mic, please? Can we get David's mic on, please?
Okay, thank you. Through the chair, I move that the application be approved subject to the conditions as indicated in the staff's report.
Seconder for that, please. Tom, thank you. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The next application before us tonight is a minor variance application, Hensman, 289 Corner Ridge Road, to permit a reduced minimum easterly interior side yard setback for the construction of steps and landings to 0.22 meters, thereby requiring a variance of 0.08 meters. Section 4.20 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum interior side yard setback of 0.3 meters for steps and landings. Planning Division had no comments. Building Division, no comments were received. Engineering Division, no comments. Operational Services, no comments. Central York Fire, no comments were received. Electra Utilities, no comments. And York Region, no comments. Is the applicant or agent present? Did you wish to come forward at all? Okay. Okay. All right. Are there any members of the public that would like to address us on this application? Okay, seeing none, then I will look to the committee for comments or questions. Tom?
Okay. Thank you, David. Through the chair to the applicant. Good evening. I noticed on the application that this set of stairs is or well, I know it is existing, but they were already built. Was that done by yourself or a previous owner? How did this come to us? Because it's already there.
Sorry, my name is Dimitri Purston. I'm the contractor for this job. So it's a permit for a separate apartment for the owner's parents. So it was built the way it is, basically because it's elderly couple and they wanted wider stairs, and the subcontractor simply went 7 centimeters above what he was allowed.
So it was just an error.
It was an error, yeah.
Just the measurements that were taken?
Exactly.
Okay. Was there, just to staff, was there a building permit required for this? And was one issued, or even if you want to answer that?
Absolutely, one was issued, and this was discovered at one of the last building inspections.
Okay. Yeah, so you had your permits.
All the permits were in place, everything was
built. It looked
built.
great. It got built, and
everyone's
whoops.
happy. Neighbors are happy on both sides. It was just literally 7 centimeters.
And I was going to ask, that was my next question. So I was going to say, was the neighbor consulted? I mean, obviously, the sign's right there, so
Yeah.
your neighbor or the neighbor is certainly going to be aware that there's an application coming
So
forward.
the house is for sale. That neighbor's.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yes. So that the new owner will know that it's there prior to them.
It is on my client's on the inside of their fence, regardless, and it doesn't. Yeah, they know.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious as to why there wouldn't be a letter of support or something like that from the neighbor there.
It's simply they're selling. They don't even live there anymore. So
Right. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Just for curiosity, how do you maintain that gap between the retaining wall and the property line?
We put the fence back up, and to build the retaining wall, we had to dig everything up, and now it's all back in. It's sod, it's just grass.
Okay.
So we have the retaining wall, which is I think it's 10 inches of concrete, and then we have grass, and then there's a wire fence.
So does this mean the footing is close to the property line, the footing of the retaining wall?
No, we're still 23 centimeters away from the property line.
Okay, I'm seeing the wall which is above ground.
Mm-hmm.
Based on your drawing here, that's the one which is 0.225 meters. But does the retaining wall have the footing?
Yes, the footing, everything has been inspected, and we passed all those inspections. The footings have been done. Retaining wall has been built to code. Yeah,
Okay.
It's just 7 centimeters too close.
Okay. Yeah, I think based on this, okay, it's just my interpretation. I'm an engineer, so I deal with those things. So the way I'm seeing it is you have the wall itself, which is showing here, is 0.2 meters from the property line. So the footing is, if it's a footing like a base, it's the one which is close to very much close to the property line. That's why you have this retaining wall having that space.
Correct.
But my question was, now you've got that space between the wall, so you've got the retaining wall and a property line. This space here, how do you maintain in terms of grass?
Oh, got it. So it's been
stuff?
backfilled with, I believe there was gravel in there after
okay,
the.
okay.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
they moved it all
Okay,
up to
okay.
the sod.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
very nice.
Thank you. So actually, and I just a couple comments too and questions perhaps. Is the owner of the property here? You're the contractor, you said, right? And not here. Okay. I had a concern about the neighbor next door as well, but whether you can answer that or not, the fact that the house is empty and for sale seemed like interesting timing to me to bring this forward, because I would not have minded their comments. But if you did get a building permit and all of the necessary inspections were done, that clears a little of my concern. I don't necessarily like the beg for forgiveness for these things, which is a little what this feels like. So I guess I would comment to staff. We do have some new staff, so this is just in future. Some of that information would have been very helpful, because the same as my colleague was wondering, was there a building permit? Did we inspect it? Or was this just simply billed with no regard and they were caught after? So it's that kind of history, excuse me, can be important to us. If you can provide that to us in the future, we'd appreciate that. Thank you. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Through the chair, I'm just going to ask a supplemental. So it's there. How long has it been there?
It's just newly built. We started construction in October for the basement, and we just finished, I would say, in May. I think that's when we started the application process. That's when the inspector, Steve, was on site, and that's when he noticed this.
So back in October you started.
Mm-hmm.
You must have done all of the outside work in advance of the snow flying and what have you. You're down below.
You'd be surprised. We actually worked there through the winter doing this with heaters and such. But this last piece was something that we did not really get the measuring tape to measure.
So when you did start then, was there someone in the house next door, or was it empty at that time?
I don't know if somebody was there. It was for sale at the time as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if they lived there or not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If there's no further comments or questions, then I'll look for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll recommend approval. Application MV-2018-19.
With no conditions.
There's no conditions, I guess, no.
Nope. Okay. Seconder for that? David, thank you. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. Should have got some. Beg your pardon, sorry. Seems the older I get, the more often that happens. The next application before us is 111 Whispering Pine Trail, McGuigan, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, and Whitehead. We have three applications here. The purpose of application MV 2018-20A to permit a reduced minimum southerly interior side yard setback for the proposed accessory garage to 3 meters, thereby requiring a variance of 1.5 meters. Section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw requires a minimum interior side yard setback of 4.5 meters for accessory structures. Application 2018-20B, to permit an increased eaves encroachment of 2.15 meters into the required southerly interior side yard, thereby requiring a variance of 1.45 meters. Section 4.2 of the zoning bylaw states eaves may encroach 0.7 meters into any required yard. To permit an 2018-20-C, to permit an increased maximum driveway width to 10.21 meters, thereby requiring a variance of 0.21 meters and 4.21 meters at the street line. Section 5.6.1A bracket III of the zoning bylaw requires a maximum driveway width of 10 meters if the lot frontage is 18 meters or greater, with the exception that the maximum driveway width at the street line shall not exceed 6 meters. Planning Division had no comments. Building Division, there were no comments received. Engineering Division, no comments subject to conditions. Operational Services had no comments subject to conditions. Central York Fire Services, no comments received. Electric Utilities, no comments. And York Region, comments received. Applicant or agent for this one, please? Did you wish to come forward and make any kind of submission or? Okay, all right, that's great. Then I'll look for members of the public who may wish to speak to this application. Okay, seeing none, then I'm going to look to the committee for comments and questions. I suggest you come forward. There may be some questions. Yeah, and maybe give us your full name and then we'll start at the far end.
Through you, Madam Chair, my name is Marco Vieira. I'm the agent and the designer for this application, and the application before you is to construct an accessory detached garage at the rear of the property. The lot is a bit of an irregular shape, so the setbacks that we are asking is actually taken at a portion of the garage which is closest to the property line for some of the variances. The width of the driveway we need it because of the proposed doors. We have no objections as it comes to the street line and connection to the street to reducing the driveway to the maximum permitted of 6 meters. So we would just need it from there forward going to the garage to be widened. So at the front, the 6 meters is fine. We don't actually intend to change the existing cut along the front of the street.
Actually, that's great because that was one of the questions we all had about this one.
I thought that would be.
Because there's a very specific condition that it be limited to the 6 meters at the street.
Right.
And yet your variance seemed to indicate you wanted 10 meters at the street and we were struggling with that.
Right, and it's because of the widening to get to the garage. To the street line is perfectly fine the way it is.
With that condition, then
Yes.
you're okay. All
Yes.
right, David, any other questions?
Yeah, so I think so to the staff, the way this application is, it's not the way the applicant is describing.
Well,
so what do we do here? Because here you are talking about a variance of 4.21. This is actually at the street line, but that's not what the applicant is saying. So in other words, we can approve this with the condition. So the condition will be governing, because the condition is saying that at the street line, it has to be 6 meters, but beyond that, it can be 10 point something meters.
That's our choice, which concerns me a little bit. If, as the chair, I'll jump in. I'm thinking we're going to want to amend the wording on 2018-20C to specifically say that it will remain at, is it 6 meters? Sorry, 6 meters at the street line. I'm concerned about the contradictory wording between the recommendations. Staff?
they were okay and works well with the condition.
Okay, and I think if we put forward the motion with that amendment, that we're simply going to remove those words, I think it will work. But I'd like to hear staff's comment.
Through the chair, as long as the, I guess, recommendation that comes forward is in line with what is proposed or of a lesser value, then you may impose conditions as you please. The permission just cannot be greater than what's requested. So what you're suggesting seems to be okay.
All right, so that will probably make that amendment to the motion when I call it, if you're good with that. David, any other questions or comments? Okay, Roy, questions, comments?
I'm okay with that one, yeah.
Okay, nothing else on this one?
No,
Tom?
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got some more fundamental questions for the applicant. I tend to, when I go over these, I look at the application itself, and the application in question 6 asks why it is not possible to comply with the provisions of the bylaw. The response is it's not possible to comply because the client needs to park his truck, and storage area required is in excess of the bylaw. The truck does not fit into the existing garage because it is 10 feet, I believe, high and not deep enough. So we're talking setbacks, and when I look at the location of the garage itself, I've got the site plan. I'm looking at the 2-story structure. There's an existing pool. It looks like there's a sufficient amount of land where at least the setbacks could be respected. Can you explain why they cannot?
Well, through you, Madam Chair, I believe that if we were to skew the garage or try to rotate the garage in trying to meet the side yard setback of 4.5 meters, then it would cause the garage to be pushed further away from the back corner property line, because those two lines aren't parallel to each other. So skewing it, pushing it forward, it would leave an area behind the garage that really couldn't be used for anything. So our position was to try to position the garage as close to the rear property line and getting it too close to respecting the side yard setbacks on the south side. But because of the angle, we recognize that we don't have the required setback there by 1.5 meters. But we just feel that leaving the extra space between the pool, the garage, and the existing dwelling gives it better use to use the space for landscaping for the kids to run around, as opposed to trying to push it and leaving, basically we feel dead space behind that garage that wouldn't be usable in our opinion.
Okay, I understand your comment. I'm not sure that I totally agree. You typically do these things when there's a hardship involved, whether you're trying to save some trees or there's a privacy issue with your neighbor, what have you. There's lots of good reasons. I'm not sure that an extra meter, for example, but next to lot 18 there, the property to the south, is going to make all that much difference when I look at this spacing between the garage, the proposed garage, the pool, and the house. And in terms of alignment, your driveway is still coming up, and there's still a bit of a bend in it just to get into the garage. And if you had skewed it, you'd be running more of a straight line into the garage, if you follow me there.
I do, but there's also some existing trees to the south of us from the adjacent property. So pushing the driveway, kind of keeping the existing driveway curving to the existing garage, and then back to the proposed garage, we felt that was a better fit because of that. And the adjacent neighbor to us had no concerns in terms of the position of that garage. So we felt that in our going through the design process, that was the better option.
Okay. I have some other fundamental questions, and I'm going to raise them. in terms of the garage and its use. When I looked at it, I noted that you're talking about doors that are 12'4" by 10 feet. That's a pretty big door.
Yep.
And then we're talking about trucks.
Yeah, his truck is raised, so it's got big wheels on it. If you used to drive into the garage, basically the bottom of the front bumper is at about 6 feet high. This car is...
So, say that again, I'm sorry?
So if you're to stand in front of the truck, his bumper, like his front grille, is basically like way up here.
What kind of truck is this? What kind of trucks are these?
I don't know the name of the truck, but it's just a regular pickup truck, except it's
Is
raised.
the owner here?
Yes.
Can I ask that question? Like, what kind of trucks are these?
Sorry, you have to come to the microphone and give us your name. It's all for the public record. Thank you.
I'm Rob McGuigan. The truck is a GMC diesel pickup truck with an 8-inch lift kit in it with 37-inch tires, so it won't fit in our regular garage. And I'm also a car collector, so that's what the purpose of the garage is.
Okay, and the garage itself, if I've got this correct, is 50 feet in length. So I'm assuming you've got 2 big doors, 2 oversized trucks, and then the rest of it is storage?
I have a truck, I have 2 cars, and I also have a van for work, plus all my tools and stuff, yard equipment, all going to be in there for storage.
And you have an existing attached garage?
I have an existing 2-car garage, which my wife currently parks her car in, so there's no room for anything else.
Okay, are these commercial vehicles?
No, one's just a regular half-ton van that I use to travel back and forth to work. It's not, the garage isn't intended for like business or anything like that.
Okay. You just answered the burning question. Sure. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Sorry, and that, I'll pipe in last, that was my question. I just like an assurance that we're not building something here that's going to be running a business in a residential neighborhood. That was a very strong concern of mine when I read this application. The other thing was I had one more question about the site itself. There's a number of conditions here from the town arborist regarding trees. It looks to me like the clearing's already been done. Is that, and have any of the trees that they intended to protect through the arborist report already been removed?
Through you, Madam Chair, we believe not. There were some trees from previous last year that were damaged. There was some deadwood along the back property line that had been removed. In terms of the conditions, to get an arborist to assess the condition of the trees, to protect them and to maintain, we have no issues in doing so, and then the report will cover those, and mitigating issues in terms of protecting them during the construction, we'll be looking at that.
Good, and then I think that answers my concerns. Thank you very much. Yep. All right, I'll look to the committee for a motion, please, and we will be amending that last one. Go ahead, David. Sure. Yep.
Through the chair, I move that the 3 applications be approved with the application MV-2018-20C have an amendment, and that it should read to permit an increased maximum driveway width to 10.21 meters, thereby requiring a variance of 0.21 meters.
Period.
Full stop.
Yeah.
And then the rest, the way it reads.
All right.
With the conditions as stated in the staff's report.
Thank you. Seconder for that?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor? Opposed? None? That carries. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. The next one is a minor variance application for number 12 Woodsend Crescent. We have 3 applications again. MV 2018-21-A to permit the construction of a 1-story addition within a significant woodland feature. Section 14.1.4 bracket I of the zoning bylaw specifies that no development or site alteration shall occur on that portion of that lot that contains a significant woodland. Application 2018-21B is to permit the construction of the 1-story addition within a minimum vegetation protection zone. Section 14.1.3 bracket I of the zoning bylaw specifies no development or site alteration shall occur on that portion of the lot that contains a minimum vegetation protection zone. And application MV 2018-21C to permit the construction of a 1-story addition within the Category 1 landform conservation area. Section 14.4.3 bracket I of the zoning bylaw specifies no development or site alteration shall occur on the Category 1 and Category 2 lands. Planning Division had no comments but have conditions. Building, no comments were received. Engineering had no comments but did provide conditions. Operational Services, no comments with conditions. Central York Fire Services, no comments received. Electra Utilities, no comments. York Region, comments were received. Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority, no comments, subject to conditions. Applicant or agent for number 12 Woodsend? Okay. Did you want to come forward or anything?
Good evening. My name is David Agro. I'm the architect working with Jan and Isabel, who are here. They're the landowners, and they wanted a small addition for Isabel as an artist and has a studio in town and would like to be closer to the home, and Jan would like a small study. So they are ardent conservationists, and we're very sensitive to the natural areas, so they asked us to look at the property, and we've basically tried to design within all the parameters. We've taken a piece of existing cleared land, and that's where we're trying to put the building. And we've worked with a group called North-South Environmental to develop a strategy for protecting the existing trees. So we're trying to have as minimal an impact on the site as possible, working within the as-of-right development footprint.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll ask if there's any members of the public that would like to address this application. Please come forward.
Through you, Madam Chair, my name is John Green, and I live at 5 Fox Point in Aurora, and I am the co-chair of the Ratepayers Association of Young South. I have personally reviewed the application, and a very thorough study has been done in this application. In fact, I'm rather happy that what has been done here. From what I can gather, it conforms to the Oak Ridges Moraine requirements and bylaws. And the drawings that have been provided portray a very tasteful structure and placement. So I'm all in favor of this particular development.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Green. Appreciate you coming forward. Any other members of the public that would like to comment? Okay, seeing none, I'll look to the committee for comments or questions and/or a motion. John?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question and just confirmation that I'd like from the applicant. Looking at the proposed layout of the addition that's being done, it appears that there's an access to the new addition both I guess I'm going to call it east and west, two separate, and there's nothing between that and the existing residence. Am I correct in that?
Correct.
And that is to maintain the separation between the existing residence and the proposed uses in the addition?
Yes, that is correct. That's was their request.
I see. Okay, and I suppose it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, but I will ask it regardless. There's a gallery proposed and a studio. Is this studio and or gallery going to be open to the public?
No, I labeled the corridor there as a gallery because we've set up the walls so we could hang artwork on it. So rather than call it a hallway, I called it a gallery, but it's, I mean, basically the windows are very large, so the light will come in and...
Right. And in the studio, is it proposed that there would be classes offered to...
No, this is a private studio.
Private studio solely for the use of the owner of the property and... Okay, terrific. Thank you very much.
Okay, any comments, questions from this side? David?
For me, just a comment. Just like the report members said, this report is very, very good. And it does have to address my concerns. And even the, I think the conditions staff's report. My question is just for you to confirm. Have you read the comments, the conditions in the staff's report? They are very detailed, and if you will be able to address those, then that would be very good.
We agree with them, and
yeah,
we are looking forward to complying. That's their intent for this.
Excellent. I'll look for a motion, please. Tom?
Through the chair, I move that minor variance 2018-21A through C be approved subject to the conditions in the staff report.
Seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor? That carries. Thank you very much. And our final application for tonight is Simone 11 Patrick, application MV 2018-22, to permit a maximum lot coverage of 40%, thereby requiring a variance of 5%. Section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw permits maximum lot coverage of 35%. Planning Division had no comments, subject to conditions. Building Division, no comments received. Engineering Division, no comments, subject to conditions. Operational Services, no comments, subject to conditions. Central York Fire Services, no comments received, and no comments from Electric Utilities or the Region of York. Applicant agent for this one.
Good evening, Madam Chair and council members. My name is Bruno Di Tommaso. I am the agent for the owner and designer for this project. I do have a couple of questions with regards to the 3 conditions. First question is from the Planning Division, which states that they are in request for a sample material board for review. Firstly, I have had discussions with Antonio, and the homeowner is also asking as to the reason behind that request, as this is a coverage variance, and there is request for materials for the front elevation.
All right, then I will direct that to staff. I'm sorry, just which condition number is that?
That is the condition from the Planning Division from Lawrence Cook.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's 3A. for everybody's just reference. Thank you. I just wanted to get to which one it was. All right, maybe I could get staff to speak to that, please.
Through the chair, we reviewed the plans that were submitted for the application. We had no concerns with what was being submitted. Our main concern, talking with staff within the planning department, was to provide a material board. The reason we asked for the material board was the products that were listed that would be used. As planning staff, we need to see the color, the material. It's a general requirement that we ask for when a proposal of any dwelling or accessory structure comes in. Some applicants provide it, whether it's a picture or some sort of material board, so we have some context on what the structure will look like once it's completed. In terms of the plans, we have no concerns with the plans, just a material board so we can visualize what's being proposed.
Okay, so there's your answer. Is that some sort of an issue for the applicant?
I think maybe if the owner is here, if he'd like to maybe comment on that, or if I may just express his view as well. Am I able to do that, or?
Yes, whichever of you. I mean, what you're basically asking us to do is maybe consider removing a condition that staff has set. We don't do that lightly, so we're going to need some explanation.
Cameron?
And it was, I guess, some of the rationale and conditions. It was, we're at the point we haven't actually picked our materials. We're not at that point, and I was concerned that it's going to delay permits and us moving forward, given that it might be 6 to 8 months till we actually think. I do have some pictures of what we're just some renderings that our interior designer has given that I can provide today on what we're planning. Is just with the material boards that we're giving, it looked like they were looking at interior paint colors and looking at what type of hardwood that I was, and that's why I was confused for a minor variance in coverage. Why I was having to look at what hardwood floor I was going to put at, and how that's going to potentially impact me moving forward with my designs.
So I'll partially answer that for you. Typically, you have a full year to satisfy any of the conditions that are in these reports, and frequently we get a request to extend that time. So if it's just a timing issue, then I think staff would concur with me that there's a full 12 months to provide that. If you provide what you have, they may deem that that's necessary and or that completes it for them. But you will need to work with staff to get them basically what they need, but you do have a year to do that. So it's not going to hold anything up. And
it's more just the exterior, not interior.
Could staff clarify that it's exterior you're looking for?
Through the chair, it would be the exterior. We would be sufficient with a diagram, even with pictures of the ideas they would want to be using for the exterior structure. I understand it might be a cost burden with providing a material board with the actual materials, but just an idea so we can visualize. So whether that's a picture or however the applicant wants to clear that condition, we would be open to visualizing it through an image as well.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to maybe suggest that the committee consider a slight amendment to that condition that says a sample external material board and/or photographs as appropriate. And then I think if we soften that a little bit, then staff should be happy, and that should help the applicant. Great.
The next question would be from, I think it's Sabir Hussain, who is asking or is noting a condition that the existing storm drainage will be maintained and that any proposed grading drainage will not cause any adverse impacts on the neighboring properties. But it goes on before that to say that it has to be prepared by a professional engineer. Can we get some clarification as to where exactly on the site they are proposing or recommending this condition be met?
I think staff will always clarify for you, but that's probably not a condition that we would consider waiving. That's been given to us by our professional engineer, and we're likely not to change that one, but my suggestion would be that you will be able to work with staff as you go through the process and unfortunately planning staff are also not in a position to waive a condition set by our engineers in engineering. So
well, our concern is when it says professional engineer, if we can know exactly where the area is. I'm just trying to note that if it's to do with the addition and the grading around the addition, we are not required by any code or I guess the act as to provide a professional engineer.
Okay. So again, then I'm going to give you two choices. You can ask us to pass a motion to defer this application, and you can have those further discussions with our engineering department, but neither this committee nor planning staff are in a position that we could change that condition.
Okay.
I mean, planning staff,
we did not want this removed.
We can amend something when they're here in the room and we can talk about it, but the engineer is not here. So if you would rather defer, if we move forward and approve it, that condition will stand.
Yes.
Or you can ask us to defer this application, talk to the engineering, and maybe it comes back to us looking a little differently.
Our intention was not to defer. It was just to get some clarification on that.
Then it'll get passed as written if it gets passed, and then you'll have to work with the engineering staff.
Understood.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Sorry, I'll just check his questions first, and then we'll come back to you. One more? Did you say you had one more question, or no?
There was. It was also, I think, to do with the same. Actually, it was to do with the tree. There was a comment that there was a couple trees that were impacting the excavation of disturbance due to the proposed garage works. We don't see any trees that are where the garage is being proposed, the attached garage. We don't see any trees, so is that an error, or we're trying to get clarification on that?
Okay, again, planning staff comment if you can, but if you can't, then they'll be referred back to our what do they call them these days? Parks Recreation Service.
Through the chair, once we circulated the application, Parks Department referred these comments back to us, the planning department, and these were the conditions that were imposed. This would be something that the Parks Department would have to take an extra look at and talk with the applicant and the planning staff on how this would be, whether it was an error or if they saw something that wasn't there. Parks Department would have to clear that one.
So you have a year, again, to satisfy conditions. So again, we would pass it with that condition because they're not here to waive it tonight. You can work with them and it'll get done one way or the other, or we can defer the application and you can go back and talk to them as well. So that would be your choice.
Thank you. I just wanted to stress that we did not want any conditions removed. We just wanted to get clarification.
And staff will give you clarity at any time. Just unfortunately, they're not here to do that tonight.
Okay.
So, all right, so I'll look to my committee now for any comments or questions.
From the chair.
So
I just wanted to add what the chair said about the grading and the storm drainage. That has to be done by a professional engineer. The comment on you're asking about why the grading plan and the storm drainage has to be done by a professional engineer. That's what is required in Ontario. Okay.
We don't know what area of because we have two areas of the lot. There's the rear portion, and then there's the house itself, the addition.
Okay, so it's overall site which is going to be changed. So if you are going to be doing grading, whatever grading you're going to be doing, within that overall site, whatever grading you're going to be doing.
David, I think it's unwise for us to try to assume we know what the engineer here at the town had in his mind when he wrote that. I would rather stay with our comment that he needs to deal with our engineer here at the town.
Yeah, so
All right?
I understand.
Yeah.
This is the grading.
Okay.
I'm just trying to explain the grading.
Yeah, no, I understand
So
what,
the
but
grading has to be done whatever the engineer provided, whoever provided these comments in terms of grading and so on, wherever the grading is, the stormwater management has to be done by a professional engineer.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Not from me.
Roy, how about you?
I'm okay.
No, you're good? Tom? Okay. I just wanted to as well acknowledge that we did receive late today a list of people that are in support, and we always appreciate seeing that. What the neighbors think is always of concern to us. I did have one question, though. Did you by any chance speak to the neighbor that you back onto? So they would be the other street. Henderson, is it?
Yeah. Through the chair, I did try multiple times.
Okay.
One place is there's two properties that would be impacted in the rear.
Okay.
One is has been is for sale and been vacant for months.
Okay.
And the other one I haven't been able to catch up with the owner. I had left a message on his door to get a hold of me, but unfortunately I didn't hear back from him.
Great, no problem. We just, and they would have been notified and they had every opportunity to come forward. When I did my drive-by, I thought, gee, I wonder, I couldn't really see to the back, so I was interested if there was concerns from your neighbors at the rear, but if not, or they should have been here. So that's great. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Okay, I'll look for a motion, please.
Through the chair, I will move that application MV 2018-22 be approved subject to the conditions, and that condition number 3 be worded that the applicant provides staff with either sample material for the exterior of the building structure and or photographs for review, or words similar to that.
Okay, yeah, I like that. No, that sounds good. Can I get a seconder for that with the amendment? Thank you, David. All in favor? That carries. Thanks very much. Okay. So that completes our applications for tonight. Is there any new business from any members of the committee?
I'm good, Madam Chair.
Anybody? New business? New business? No? Okay. Anything from staff for us tonight in terms of new business? Thank you for our first meeting. Welcome. Yeah. Yeah, welcome.
Resolved them all upstairs.
Yeah. That's great. All right, I'll call for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All right. Thank you.
And welcome
We
to
are adjourned.
Aurora from Newmarket.
Yes.
That little town.